You want to talk about your first comeback?
Oh my god. Oh, my first comeback. Okay, so I started listening to BTS in 2016 because Save Me was my first song. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before.
Mm-hmm.
But my first comeback would have been with DNA, because that was the first like actual comeback. That was like, I was watching the AMAs, like,
yeah,
it was getting serious. My love for BTS was getting serious. So
there was no turning back.
Yeah, no, not at that point. So Love Yourself Her would have been my first comeback. And at the time, like, I was on Twitter, but I wasn't really a part of anything, mostly because I was definitely made fun of a lot. And 2017 was kind of a difficult period of time. Like 2016, 2017 was a very difficult time to be an ARMY. If you know, you know. There's a bunch
I'm a later
of like,
ARMY, and I know. So
yeah,
if you're
like,
well informed, you know.
Yeah, I don't really necessarily want to get into why it was difficult. There's a ton of like Twitter threads that are very good at explaining.
Yeah, there's enough information out there for you to find, and it's really not like that difficult to find.
It was pretty traumatizing, which is why I don't want to talk about it that much, because it was very traumatizing, and it just was not worth it. But yeah, DNA is just that one song, man, that just like propelled like, not that Save Me didn't, but Save Me has a different specialer place in my heart because of like the time period and when it came out. Like, I needed that song in my life. But DNA was definitely like my comeback time. Like, that was the song that like I was like, oh shit. Like, you know, like I was like, all right, this is it. Like, I'm cemented. This is the end of discussion, basically. And their first like AMA performance, crazy. Like, that was just such a crazy period. But yeah.
Yeah, so as I've mentioned before, the first song that brought me into BTS was Boy With Love, thanks to Halsey.
My girl. Love you, Halsey.
Which would mean that my first actual comeback was Mod 7.
Crazy.
Dog.
Craziness.
And the thing is that it actually came out like 3 days before my birthday back in 2020.
Oh my god, yeah. Jeez.
And so now that Mod 7 is officially like 2 years old, which means that like my third ARMYversary is coming up in April. And so I'm just like, this is kind of crazy. And like,
it is.
The fact that I became an ARMY in like 2019, I was like, yeah, April 2019. It's kind of like crazy. And for the people that are like, oh, if you're like a later ARMY, you're not an ARMY because you weren't there like since the beginning. Like, your point is not valid because BTS have said since forever that BTS finds you when you actually need them to.
Yeah.
And so your ARMY experience will be different from other ARMYs, and that's fine and that's normal because people get into stuff and consume music in different ways.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, 2019 was like a really rough time for me. So
I understand.
Yeah, I was struggling trying to finish my bachelor's degree. So they definitely helped me with like my last 2 semesters. And for that I'm like really glad.
Yeah, me too.
Otherwise I would not have my degree.
Yeah. You know, 2016 I was like going through film school at the time, and it was kind of crazy because I thought that I like had a career path already laid out that I was prepared to do fully, and then I applied to film school on a whim. Like, I was like, oh man, this could be like an addition. And then I started, falling in love with this other craft that I didn't expect. And it was just so confusing and difficult to wrap my head around the fact that like I didn't have everything laid out perfectly how I wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
And, accepting that things were going to change, which I'm not the best at. I'm trying to be better at it. I think I am better at it now that, time has gone on. But, and I was also feeling like extremely isolated too. And I'm better now at talking about my feelings, but back then I was a completely different person. I definitely was more guarded of my feelings in particular, and a lot of the things that I just didn't talk about at all. Like my
Yeah.
brother is the complete opposite. Like he's really good at expressing his feelings, and I'm just not. That's just not.
That's just not it, fam.
That's just not it. And so I was struggling internally, but not vocalizing it to anybody. And then BTS happened, and here we are now. So.
Yeah, on that front, I totally understand. Like, I'm totally on the same boat as you are, because like I was at a point where it felt like no one would fully understand why I'm struggling so much when
Yeah.
it was like I was getting into like I was studying something that I've been like so passionate into doing since I was like 12.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like I've known that I wanted to be a translator since basically since I was 12, and I'm very lucky for that because like that's very rare
It
that
is.
you feel so passionate about a career path so early on in life.
Yeah.
And like I did everything that I could to get there. So like I did like intensive language programs in school. So like from 6th grade through secondary school, and then I went into modern languages and linguistics at college to be able to go into translation into university. And thankfully, I was able to like getting all those programs and stuff like that and degrees, and like I'm very lucky for that. But towards the end I was just like, this is taking forever and it feels like I'm
Yeah.
truly misunderstood.
Yeah.
But like when you don't really know how to express those things, then you just kind of stuck.
Yeah, you're just like stuck with those feelings, and I had already spent 6 years in my other degree. And
Mm-hmm.
it was like, am I just like I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing at the time. Like I thought that it would be a good addition, but then the more that I got into it, the more I was like, well, I could make a career out of this. But then what do I do? Like I just spent 6 years doing this other thing.
Yeah.
And I had already had a job. I've been working with this theater company for like 3 years prior to that, and it was just like, am I just wasting my time? Like I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm sort of just like winging it, because my honest thought when I was applying was like, I'm not going to get in, because at the time they've sort of changed the rules of how they're letting people into this program, but
Mm-hmm.
at the time they were only letting in 30 people and you had to interview in order to get it.
Oh wow.
And so I had applied on like the open house day, which is like a free day that you can apply, because I didn't want to spend $50 for the
Yeah,
application fee.
fair enough.
And I was like, well, I'm not going to get in. Like, I don't have any experience in film. Like, why would I ever get into this program? And then I got the interview based on like my resume, and I had to like find somebody in the industry and like have a chat with them and fill out this entire form. It was a process. And then I got the interview day, and I was afterwards, I was just like, I'm not gonna get in. Like, there's no way that I'm gonna get into this program because I don't have any experience in film. And how they do the interview is you're with one instructor with a bunch of other students who are trying to get in.
Oh wow.
And so you get to hear their experiences, their stories, their whatever. And I was just like, there's so many more experienced people than me. And I'm, at the time, you know, I was in my like early 20s, and there's like 18-year-olds like coming out of high school, and I'm like, they're way more experienced than me. So like, why would they choose me to be in this program? And then I got in. I got the acceptance letter, and I was like, oh shit. I actually have to go through with this now. Because I went through this entire process, and I'm not just gonna like not do it because I committed to it. Yeah. And then I had to go through it. I made it through. We're here now.
Yeah, the harshest part for me is like towards the end, especially with like having that one teacher early on fail me just because she didn't like me. And I was like, is this like a representation of what the field is like? Is this like how that's gonna end? Like I'm gonna get onto a team and then someone's gonna absolutely hate me for no reason. And like that same teacher almost failed me 2 other times because I was stuck taking her class because there were mandatory courses.
Right.
And she also like almost failed me like 2 other times. And so like my average would like slowly go down because she was just like I would compare it to like with my friends work, and they would get like decent grades, and then I would come in with like a work that's equally as good and like either barely pass or fail.
Right.
And I'm just here like, and then I would see like other people like, because the thing with a translation degree is that it's extremely rare to have people straight out of college go into those. Because like my friends from university, like them going into translation were all their second bachelors. So they're all like at least like 2 to 3 years older than me.
Right.
And then you would have people that were working in the industry wanting to become like actual translator instead of like aides and stuff like that. So they would go get their degrees and stuff like that. So like I was basically the youngest in all of my classes because I was like straight out of college into a translation degree, which is extremely rare.
Right.
And so like I would be surrounded by these people who's like so freaking serious and like mature, and I'm just here like it felt like I was playing pretend. And I was not in a space where I was allowed to be.
Yeah.
Which made it so incredibly difficult, especially towards the end.
Yeah. That's why I'm like very thankful for BTS, because film school was incredibly difficult for a variety of reasons. Like the people, combined with just like it's a 2-year program that should be 4. And it's shoved into an intensive process where, you know, you're pushed to the breaking point, and it's, you know, whether you can overcome those breaking points or you fall and you don't make it. And a lot of people drop out of film school. Like I think our class was the only group of all 30 of us graduated at the end.
Oh wow.
Like usually people drop out between the first or second semester or the first year, second year, because they can't handle it. It's too much.
Yeah. That's amazing though, that all 30 of you graduated.
I know, yeah, it's a miracle. Amazing. It's a miracle, to be honest. Yeah, like I think the class before us was 23, so 7 people dropped out over the course of those 2 years.
Wow.
It's intense. So I'm really grateful to BTS for
me
being with me during that period of time, because I don't think that like I definitely like found my core group of people in film school, but I don't think I would have made it out alive without them by my side too.
Yeah.
And my parents are incredibly supportive. I feel like I'm like shitting on them too, but
No. I love your parents. I love your mom.
Yeah. My parents are really excellent, but it's just one of those things that I didn't know how to express to them these like thoughts and feelings, and yeah, it was just one of those things.
I totally get you. I felt the same.
Because to be honest, like I don't
the pressure of the eldest, right?
Yeah. I don't necessarily talk about necessarily my feelings to them. Like I'll vent to them and stuff, but I don't dive deep into my well, I didn't at the time. I was a very
because you want to make them proud, but then you're having these struggles that you're like sometimes even having a hard time to express to yourself. So how would you be able to express to the people that are closest to you, right?
And I thought the solution was to just like bury it instead of dealing with it, and that was kind of my like thing throughout university too, was just like, oh, we'll just it's fine, I'll just bury it and it'll never be there and it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's like it's gonna be gone. Yeah, no,
it's very incorrect. But yeah, I just during that period of time I was definitely a very broken person, and so I am very grateful to BTS for being there and putting me back together.
Okay, so my mom's like baking, like random note. My mom's baking challenge for February is one of my favorite things.
Oh.
It's fudge Pop-Tarts.
Oh, yum.
Look at those.
Those look so good.
Ugh.
I'm gonna fly to Quebec and be like, hey.
I mean, it's gonna be easier for you. Like, you also know my parents' address, so you can just show up.
I do.
Get Kat first.
I will.
Kat and Tanya.
Yeah, I'll go get them first. Don't worry.
Because at least my mom has met them before.
Yes.
So it's gonna be easier for you to just like, hello.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's